did it. 4 months.
And I made it 4 months, 5 years. He says, give me 5. I gave him 5. So you women out there, it's called compromise. And you know, there was good times and bad times. But you know what? We're both the happier for it.
This is a recap of our 2023 Spring of Pearls, our 4-month RV trip around the United States. We have divided into 2 parts so as not to be too long. So please give us a thumbs up and be sure to make a comment. And now please enjoy our recap.
Well, we did 122 days. We had 53 stops, 8,900 miles, and I can't tell you how many gallons of diesel.
And when he puts it that way, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Anyway, so we started out in Florida, in Palm Beach Gardens where we live, and the first task was loading the coach.
Always a feat. But you know what? We planned really well because everything I put in there, 4 months later, we're almost getting bare cupboards. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, from a food standpoint. I brought a few more clothes than I needed.
Too many clothes, yeah.
But we had them for any eventuality. And we had some dress-up times along the way, and we'll talk about that. So we left Florida. The nicest thing about Florida is it's a beautiful place to live.
It's great to come back to after those cold climates up north.
The bad thing is it takes a long time to get out of Florida. It takes about 3 days. So we went up Florida. We hugged the central part of Florida most of the time. Got around the Big Bend in the Panhandle, and we crossed across the Gulf of Mexico. And our first major stop was in Louisiana, just outside of New Orleans, and we did a harvest host at the plantation.
That was a beautiful place.
We parked in the parking lot. We did a very nice tour of the grounds. We had been there before, and then we had a nice 5-course dinner.
Place that I would definitely love to live in.
So then we continued on, and then we started hitting the heat. The real hot areas of San Antonio and Austin. We didn't do too much because basically we were just trying to get across to the West Coast.
You know, on the way out, I knew we hugged that southern coast of the United States, but most of that until we hit that hot desert area is a blur. We went by so fast until we approached, I think it was Texas, and then to Phoenix, Arizona.
But we did have to make a couple of stops along the way, and we even parked in a Love's overnight camping spot at a Love's gas station, which was an interesting experience. Not something we'd like to do again, but at least it's there for people who want to go overnight and something different than a Walmart.
If you're a light sleeper, I don't suggest it.
Then we did some sightseeing along the way, and we stopped in Houston, and we spent a day at the Houston Space Center.
Yep, and that was interesting. I mean, you think you know it all, seen it all, but to be up and close and personal to the space shuttle and all of that, it was all inspiring of what this country's all about.
So that's a recommendation for us, that if you're in the Houston area, to do the Houston Space Station.
Most definitely.
So while we're in Houston, we visited with my great nephew, Dr. Matthew Goldman, and his new wife Peggy, and we had a delightful afternoon and evening with them.
Peggy is also an attorney. I'll tell you, for a young, successful couple, they are so much in love and so happy, and we got to see their brand new home.
Yeah. So then we moved along and we hugged the Texas and Mexican border. We were very close to the border. We were within 5 or 10 miles.
This one was a little nervous.
Well, yeah, I didn't know what to expect given all the reports, but we didn't see any of these immigrants running across the highway or anything.
No.
So then we made a major stop. We stayed 6 days in Phoenix and visited with
my daughter and her family, and I'll tell you, I haven't seen them in a while. I have, in that side of the family, 12 grandchildren, and I didn't get to see them all, but it was a wonderful event. Talk about party almost at every turn. And Bella had her 1-year-old birthday party, and we just had perfect timing. It was good to see them.
Yeah, it was a fun time, and we had some great Mexican food, and we had some good times, and it was really a very close family. So then off we went to Southern California, and we arrived in San Diego.
And now you're getting to my neck of the woods. I lived in Southern California for a little over 10 years plus, but it seemed like a lifetime. And I was really anxious to show him what it was like as a local to live from San Diego all the way up to basically middle Orange County.
Yeah, and that part of the trip was basically planned by Virginia, and all I did was follow along.
And for the first time, I ran his legs off. But we saw Coronado Del. Coronado Del.
Del Coronado Hotel.
Yeah. And we stayed there. Bucket list item.
Yeah, it was. There's a video, and I will post it up above. The Del Coronado Hotel was a delight to be at that iconic property, but it also was a little bit of a disappointment. And you can see the video if you click on that link at some point in time.
Yeah. Anyway, we also saw Balboa Park, one of my favorite places. Art, prehistoric animals, you name it, lovely flowers. It's a gorgeous place to see.
And of course there are museums there, and there's nothing more happy time for Virginia to be spending time in a museum.
2 art museums, in fact.
And I just sort of...
He finds a place to sit, and every once in a while he sees something good. He says, "Hey, Richard, come over here." He goes, "Are what gets me. Back in the time, you have an artist, whether he was out there painting or whether he was taking a sketch and then took it back in his studio. But whatever the case, look at the realism that he got in. Basically, this was picture taking back in the day to send back to people who never came out to the West to see what it was really like. Isn't that awesome? Just to imagine somebody being able to do that on the road.
So we spent 5 or 6 days. We had lunch with my cousin Umbretta.
The Hugo Sprints or the regular one?
Then we continued up, and it was holiday time. It was around the 4th of July.
Yeah, which
So
that was kind of a bonus.
Yeah, so our next stop was in Newport Beach.
Was Newport Dunes, of all place.
Yeah.
Anyway, we camped in Newport Dunes, and from there it was kind of like a spot to go see anywhere from San Clemente all the way up to the Newport area. And we saw a lot. We went to Laguna Beach. Saw the Festival of the Arts, which pageant of master, excuse me, and the Festival of the Arts.
So today is a day in Laguna Beach, California, and it's an art day. And then we're coming back here tonight to see the pageant of the masters, which is a very interesting show, I guess you could call it, a play. The Festival of Arts and the Pageant of the Masters. That was very, very interesting, and something, if you happen to be there in July, that's something
August,
that you, July and August, is something you must take in.
It was an event to behold, and Richard was extremely lucky, and I was lucky that we got to be there during that time.
Santa Catalina is waiting for me, 26 miles across the sea. We had a day in Santa Catalina. We took a 7:30 ferry over. It was about an hour and a half, and we brought our e-bikes with us, and we toured the island, the beach club, or the Descanso Beach Club.
We went to San Clemente.
We went to San Clemente.
That's where I lived and loved. Beautiful sunsets, awesome clam chowder. Don't you think it was one of the best outside of Boston?
On the pier.
Right, it matched. And we did a lot of running around the places I had been. We went to Marina del Rey, and you know, some things have changed, but it still was nice to visit. Then from there, you want to take over?
Yeah, we were in Laguna, of course, in Newport Dunes. We were at the marina, and we spent the night there. We spent the night there doing the fireworks for the 4th of July.
4th of July, and you know, to our surprise, we hadn't planned it that way, but it turned out to be awesome. Part of my family, the ones in Phoenix, decided to come over and spend the 4th of July holiday with us.
Yeah, so they drove from Phoenix, and we had a very, very nice time and enjoyable. It was very festive, and the fireworks were terrific on the beach.
Yeah, the fireworks never seem to fail in Southern California.
And then we continued to move up the coast. And bear in mind, we went from San Diego to Seattle. We took 2 months to do that. So we really took our time to make sure that we saw everything. And then the next stop was in Los Angeles, and we were able to find a campground in Malibu. That was one of the most picturesque campsites. I mean, we were sitting on a precipice on the top of a mountain, and it was incredible. Of course, it was very expensive. You know, normally campsites you pay $45, $60, $70, $80 a night. It was $320 a night, and we were lucky to get in.
And picture this, it was an RV camper's advertisement dream. Here's the RV, here's the pinnacle, and then behind that is nothing but sand and ocean, as far as you can see for 360.
It was a great stay, and while we were there, we went to the mansion of Getty's,
The villa.
the Getty Villa, which was a very interesting day. And also then we drove into LA, and we went to the Getty Center Museum.
Yes, and that was also something I wanted to show Richard, but was so much awe-inspiring for me. I wish to goodness Florida had a few of those museums we saw in Southern California.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
And also
we saw a friend of yours,
yeah,
too.
we saw Blake Boyd, who's a real live actor, a friend of mine. I've known Boyd for, I don't know, 20 years or so. He's been in First Kid. I'll put it down below. Some of the space movies and so on. He was a Secret Service guy. He's done a lot of acting. And we were able to have dinner with him and spend an evening with him.
And he had to be one of the most kindest, sweetest individuals I've ever met.
My friends.
Yeah. In Santa Barbara. I had been there before, experienced the little marina, had been to a bed and breakfast, but I think what was a little bit of an additional plus was meeting some more friends of yours.
Yeah, we meet the Catalfamos, who live in Santa Barbara. They're from Boston. And another good friend of ours, of mine, Richard Duffy, came down from LA, and we had dinner. But we spent a couple of days. We had dinner at the Catalfamos house one night as well. And, Santa Barbara is probably one of the most wealthy zip codes in the nation. I think $2.5 million is where houses start. You can't buy anything less than that. It's just a beautiful town. 72 degrees, day and night.
Well, days are 72, nights high 50s. Richard really had a hard time pulling me out of Southern California. If I'd had an opportunity to go back there, I would in a second. His friends came maybe just a little close to talking him into it, and I was hoping and praying, but the further we edged ourselves northerly, the enthusiasm for that kind of dissipated very quickly.
We did go through the sequoias, and we saw the big trees, and spent days doing that, and it was just incredible.
Yeah, I loved running around just like a little kid, going in them and under them and in between, and it was just like showing us how small we really are in this big world. And
we also, while we were there, we went to San Luis Obispo, and I took Virginia to the Madonna Inn, and that is quite a hotel. My parents stayed at it in the 60s and told me about it, and I've been there once or twice, and it is, let's say, different.
Talk about eclectic. The one thing I'll take away from there, because we had lunch, was they had probably the best coconut lemon cake in this world.
We're at the famous Madonna Inn in San Luis Obispo, California, and Virginia has in her hand
lemon coconut cake. That's what I get from this beautiful, iconic place. We're going to indulge probably for 3 or 4 days. And I was trying every which way to find out if they could deliver or send one for me for my birthday, but no go.
So we did the Madonna Inn, and then we went to San Simeone, which is the Hearst Castle. And that was another interesting day.
Yeah, it was. Again, there is no limits to wealth.
Yeah. This castle is on top of a hill. It sits on, I don't know, 300 or 400 acres, maybe 2,000 acres. I don't know. It's just huge. It's a big home, and William Randolph Hearst entertained all the glitterati, both from Hollywood, politics, and anywhere else. And he had some big parties there. It was quite a place. San Luis Obispo. We stayed in Paso Robles, and Paso Robles is sort of part of the wine country up there. We had dinner at a very lovely Italian restaurant and a winery, and then we went to something that is very interesting, and it's called Censario of Lights.
And I'll tell you, I at first was wondering, what are we doing in Paso Robles? Hot. The coast is really awesome at this time of year, but Paso Robles didn't disappoint with that light festival. I would go back and see it again for sure.
And from there we continued north, and we went to Monterey and the Monterey Peninsula in Carmel. We spent the first morning going through the beautiful little town of Carmel.
I've always heard about it. It did not disappoint. I was looking around for some actors and actresses. I didn't see any, but I could imagine they were lurking around.
And that town, of course, is where Clint Eastwood was the mayor for many, many years. And then we took the 17-mile drive, and the 17-mile drive is around the peninsula in Monterey Peninsula in Carmel. It's 17 miles long. I don't know how I remembered that.
And that didn't disappoint either.
And it was just beautiful coastline. Of course, you go through the very famous golf courses of Spyglass and Pebble Beach. Pebble Beach Golf Course, of course, is one of the most famous and the most expensive. I think it's $1,000 per person per round to play at Pebble Beach now, and you've got to make your reservation more than a year in advance.
Now that's probably why I'd only heard about it and never been there.
So we spent time in Carmel and Monterey, and then we continued to move north.
And that brought us to San Francisco. And we went down into San Francisco, down to the wharf. We got on a boat and we went out to Alcatraz. And we spent the day on the Big Rock. And it was an experience. Highly recommended as one of the best places to tour in the country, especially for children, because it will give them a sense of what it is if they don't do the right thing. It was an awesome day, and we drove a little bit around San Francisco. Didn't see much of the issues of homelessness that had been in the news, but we didn't stick around very much, and we went back to our campground. So that concludes part 1. Please click on the link here and watch part 2. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hey, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Look for us in the next video.